Hey everyone, welcome back.
Hey guys.
So it's been a while. We want to first thank all the new subscribers since we did our last video.
We've missed you guys. Sorry it's been so long.
Totally. So today we're doing a do-it-yourself hanging picture frame pair for the laundry room, something we saw at a store that we wanted to recreate.
So we're going to get started. The first thing is it's going to be a pretty easy project. You're not going to need to be like a weekend warrior to get this done. Just going to have to be kind of good with crafts.
And patient. It takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, patience.
So it's going to take about an hour if you're really crafty, but probably more realistically 2 hours if you've never painted anything or...
yeah. It also just depends on where you get your stencils from and how many things you're actually doing from scratch.
Sure. Speaking of supplies, we're going to use frames, sketch canvas paper,
black paint, some burlap,
scissors, and an X-Acto knife or a razor blade. Anything sharp. Kids, be careful. Don't do it.
Or do it with the parents.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into this, you guys. I like the burlap because it was a really creative idea to put into the frame. So here we're going to go ahead and get started with our stenciling.
So these stencils are actually things that you can print out online. So you just basically build the stencil with whatever words or text you want and print it out.
Now, of course, we recommend using a font that's pretty wide to give you some cutting space. You don't want anything that's too thin.
And then you're going to want to cut on something other than a desk. You don't want razor marks.
So
I
just
use some cardboard.
Yeah, old sketchbook.
Yep.
So I could not find an X-Acto knife. I know I have one.
No, we don't. We don't have one. That's why you couldn't find it.
Okay, so we ended up using the razor. Again, be really careful, you guys. But this is actually going in fast forward, so I'm not actually working this fast. I did take my time.
And just for the sake of time, we're not going to show you every letter, but you get the gist of it. We're just cutting out the letters, and there's all sorts of fonts, sizes, styles, so get creative.
And we did also include the site that we use. It'll be in the description bar below. Make sure to look down there for all of the details.
So guys, here's the finished product with the words that we're going to use.
Again, it does not have to be perfect. You just want it to be legible when you're getting ready to actually stencil it out with paint.
Yeah, and this was from, what was it, Rapid?
We'll include it below in the description box, but it's a free website you can use.
There's plenty that you can use. Just Google it.
So the first thing you're going to do is just get it, get the actual stencil on a piece of, I don't want to say sketch paper, I guess you can call it sketch paper, and you want to make sure you have a sponge that you can use for the paint and a pair of scissors.
Yeah, and if you don't have sketch paper, any thicker paper, don't use printer paper. It's not going to give it that faded older look.
Yeah, it has to be thicker, like cardstock paper.
So obviously we're using tape here to hold everything in place, and you know, if you're doing this, just make sure that there's only a little bit of tape touching the actual paper. Sheena's really good removing it, but you might not be so lucky, so just be careful. And we're just going to dab this on the sponge and get to work.
So you guys can see I started off, it's a bit heavy here, but you want to kind of let the paint dispense out slowly across each of the letters. You don't want to oversaturate it. It's going to take away from the effect that it's actually stenciled. Alright guys, so if you look, you can see I kind of messed up. Again, that is okay. You'll see why in the next step, why it's okay to make minor mistakes. So we're going to rip that page out and let that one dry, and we're going to move on to the second stencil. Again, you can just do one, but this is for our laundry room, so we wanted to do a pair.
Alright, so we're finished with the text, and the next step we're going to, I believe, make the stencils for the actual artwork. Now, if you don't want to stencil it, you can freehand the design. You can actually find an image online and cut it out and use that as a silhouette or a stencil itself. You can totally get creative with this. When we were at the store, we took a snap of what we wanted to copy. We just thought it looked good, but I think it was $40, so...
Yeah, decided to make it ourselves.
Yeah.
So here, I'm just going to freehand it, just because, again, it's a stencil. It doesn't have to be perfect, so I didn't want to print this out. Cool, so once you're done drawing the stencil, here's where you're going to need your razor. Be super careful, but you're going to cut right on the lines. Now this part is tricky. I think it's human nature. You want to just kind of cut every line that you see, but in this case, you don't want to do that. You have to remember that you're creating a stencil. So what I'm actually going to do is cut the middle part out to create my, I guess, the circle for the door. So I cut that out. So first we're going to do the actual square shape of the washer, then we're going to fill in that circle piece to make it pop out.
So once you've got everything centered, we're going to do the same thing we did for the letters. Now for this part, Sheena just thought it was easier to freehand. So she's really talented with this stuff, but you don't have to get super complex.
And I think some craft stores actually have like stamps you can actually buy of random objects and common shapes. So you can always check out somewhere like Michael's or Joanns to see if you can buy those on hand.
Yeah. And this is probably a good time to mention, if you don't have paint laying around, you can still create the same type of look with markers and so
food coloring.
Yeah, there's lots of different things. You can make a watercolor with food coloring.
Oh yeah. So it just depends on what room you're going to put this in and what you're looking to put on there. For this particular project, we want to use black, and we had paint.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so we've got a finished product with the paint, but now we've got to make the frame and
the backing.
Yeah, the backing, the burlap backing.
So the first thing I'm going to do is measure out this Ikea insert that came with the frame just to get my right shape, like a rectangular shape for a frame. And I'm using a hot glue gun and just kind of getting the corners pasted down.
Now the hot glue is just to make sure it's extra secure, but if you've got it the right size, you don't necessarily need it.
Now I did that part really fast and I will end up doing it again, but you want to make the paper very wrinkly. For us, we chose to do this, especially because it's like clothes. It looks like clothing if you crush it up enough times. You'll see me doing it here. I probably did this like 7 times. So you just want it to look very worn.
Yep. I think it goes without saying that you need to wait for the paint to dry too, but
Yeah.
I guess that you
This
could probably
paint
make a
dried
big
really
mess.
fast. Yeah. So again, these frames are from Ikea. I believe they're like $1 or $2 a piece.
No, they were $1.
And they are amazing. The quality is pretty good, especially when you're hanging it up high. It just looks great, and you're saving so much money. And the inserts that they come with are perfect if you can't afford backing to put behind your pictures. Just flip the piece of paper over. It's always white on the other side. And we'll show that in another project. I know you guys want to see more frame stuff. This was one of the many frame projects that we'll share with you guys. Paper. You want to center it as much as you possibly can. I kind of lifted up a bit of the edges just to kind of make it look a little bit more 3D. I definitely didn't want it flushed. So now I'm just kind of taking a nail buffing tool that you see there, and I'm just buffing over the paint to make it a bit more faded.
Yep. Now these plastic covers, they have a film on them where the glass would be on a normal picture frame. So you want to make sure you remove that so that it's looking its best, not cloudy or anything.
So that's it, you guys. That's the whole project. I know it went by pretty fast. If you guys need to catch up, be sure to check out our website, SpokenHome.com. We'll have a full pictorial on there.
And make sure that you rate, comment, and subscribe. We're always looking for new subscribers, and we're super excited to see our channel growing. So thanks for coming back, and give us some ideas on some future projects.
That's
all right, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.
We'll see you in the next one.